masters. Good day to you, partner. I'm Guy, and I can already tell that I'll be your best friend in this forsaken cave.
Hey guys, Wheat Solo here, aka the Skeleton King. I want to get these videos out. I kind of took a little bit of time off because I'm a little sick still, and my voice doesn't sound necessarily that great. This is kind of a quick breakdown of all the gear I was using at various moments in this build. The only thing I don't show is the Bone Flame. And a Bone Flame is a solid option. Of course, at that point, you would switch to Arachnid Mesh. I don't have those two pieces on, but basically it's pretty simple. You'd go with a plus 130 if you could afford it, and then for the Bone Flame, you'd get three sockets. Now, you might have saw there was an interesting choice for the helm. This map is 24% max health. And now, we all know that T1s were nerfed massively this season, and so it should kind of even out, right? Well, kind of. The way health works is kind of weird, but basically the fatty mobs are going to be a little annoying to kill, but then the fact that there are fetishes in Fallen, like, they're just cannon fodder. So it's still a great map, and it kind of helps me have a little bit longer of a video to talk about these things. The reason why you would want to run Bone Flame at all, it's like, why would you have plus skills? You don't need it. One of the annoying things about this build is you still need Blood Warp to be 0 CD. Now, you could try and run it at 0.2 or even 0.4 CD, which does kind of work for budget PROXmancer. And it still works for this build, but like there are too many times where you want a Blood Warp right away. And even relying on the 0.2 second cooldown with a lower resist cast. So if you're casting at 125 FCR, which I think in this video I'm actually only at 75, but I'd have to check again. Let's just say it's 10 frames. It's either going to be 10 or 11 frames. Then that's going to be, oh my god, I can't do math right now. So if it's 25 frames, you divide it by 5, that would be 0.2. So basically, you'd have a little bit over 0.2 seconds to cast your lower resist and Blood Warp. So you would think it would always work out, but there's kind of just this weird thing when you start to have a cooldown with Blood Warp, which I've tried to bring up at other points, is that it never is quite as good as you think it is. And it's not just because of bone armor, although that is annoying. It's like the game takes longer to register you can cast it again, I swear. Because if you just do the math in your head, if you have a 0.2 cooldown, and it takes you 10 frames to cast a fucking skill, how could I not just Blood Warp immediately? But for some reason, it just doesn't feel like it's as smooth. And that could actually just be my my mind playing tricks on me. But it definitely feels that way. If anyone's played Budget Poison, let me know. It definitely feels like one cast in 0.2 seconds is like, it pretty much works. So you still need to get 30 cooldown on your Blood Warp, which is like the only reason that makes this build a struggle to build around. If it wasn't for that caveat, I would actually say this build would be a quality farmer. Now, of course, it wouldn't be as good as a straight up PROXmancer, but it's just really, really fun. And for T1 and T2, I don't think you could argue it would be really much different or worse. Now, you could say, sure, my time on this is a little slow, but I'm still getting used to the build. And I think if it wasn't for the fact that I had to worry about plus skills on my cooldown, I could definitely be doing this map a lot quicker. I have a couple of better times coming up. I do a sub 4 Bastion, and I do a really, really fat Tombs, and I'm definitely going to show that video. I think it was only 5 minutes, which like isn't really that great, but definitely this build can play quickly, and it's so much easier to get 75 FCR and everything else you want if you're not worried about those plus 10 skills. Just think about your ring slots. Think about your shield. Like, you run 3-piece with no worries. Think about your helm. Exactly. Like, I'm literally using a +4 summon circlet to hit 30 CD. And, like, it actually works. I actually think the +4 summon circlet is better than Bone Flame plus Arachnid Mesh. And that's because I get to use 3-piece, which has 25 pierce, right? And what do I lose? I even have ums in my helm, partly because of Bone Flame. So basically, you could argue I'm losing 10 mastery and 10 pierce, but I gained 25 pierce. And it just kind of worked out that this was a more smooth version of the build. Now, if anyone's wondering, does this build work with Cage of the Unsullied? Of course it does. In fact, I have videos of it up last season, and I'll definitely do that again. I want to return to this build. I want to return to it also without Cage of the Unsullied, because with Cage of the Unsullied, I'm pretty sure, well, you know, Weather Zoorot really cleared enough in that map. I think this would be the best way to try and fight for the #1 spot, clear on Bastion. 125 FCR. This, I mean, honestly, if you have Cage of the Unsullied, I don't even think you would have to cast Lore Resist at that point. So I don't think there's any way you could lose. And that's kind of like the cool theoretical part of this build. There's a lot of maggots in this map, so as you can see when I'm going around picking up gear, they're not going to die. I think I don't even break their poison immunity. I'm not even trying to. It's not my objective. That's actually one of the kind of the cool parts about Bone Flame, guys, is that you get a little more points to your Lore Resist, which is not nothing. In fact, you could even run Summon Skillers. Are the 4% LCs really good? Yes. Remember, I had issues with my life. So again, Bone Flame kind of helps with that too. I had these awesome boots. I actually was using a whole variety of boots to try to make this build work. So that's kind of it. Someone asked me for the build breakdown of this, and like I said, you should probably watch this video, and hopefully it helps you. It's kind of hard to explain how to build this other than get 30 Blood Warp, get eBotD, and then go from there. And like, once you realize you have to make those two things, it kind of helps force you into gear pieces based on what you have available at that time. Like, for instance, we had all of these conversations about what I would do and this and that and the other, and oh my god, this is going to work so great. Oh, I don't hit 30 Blood Warp. Like, you really need to do that first. That's pretty much all I got to talk about on this build, guys. Thanks for watching. There's going to be more videos next week. We're also going to do a really fun video with Colby and Topwug. Alright, Skilly King out. GG.
Come and play with us, Daddy.